Evening, 11:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast in the United States of America. Welcome to the ISO headquarters. I know it's been a few days, but we've been a little slow in the news, but I did dig up some stuff, and it's going to let us clear out some stuff. I'm going to try to come back to a daily, maybe 2 updates today, because as you know, I have 2 partnered stations, but my second partnered station, I'm kind of thinking about fading out and focusing more on this as my go-to. I don't really see much of a use for the other station. I do because it's partnered, but at the same time, I think if I put the resources into here, and just had my main partnered station at the XRP Future Millionaire, go check it out. I think I could bring you some extraordinary content here, and I'm all about the ISO. So the rest of it is just, yeah, I can get viewers, but I would rather talk the ISO and then do my XRP Future Millionaire page. So don't be offended if you're in my Swing Traders Anonymous if it gets faded out a little bit. But I would like to work this up to partnership, and I have a lot of plans for this channel, and it fits into what my personal desires are. So make sure to hit that like button as well. Hit subscribe. We're almost up to 800 subscribers at about 757. Hope you appreciate the ISO format. I hope you appreciate getting your foremost news here, and I would love to build this audience and continue to bring you more exclusive news. And now that I'm going to focus on this and just my main channel instead of having 3 channels, I think it was an accomplishment to get that second partnered station, but I'm really excited about this station. So where do we stand on the journey to ISO-20022? And this came out March 2nd, 2022. So get your listening caps on because this is going to be fascinating. The introduction of ISO-20022, an ISO International Organization for Standardization, standard for exchanging electronic messages, is set to revolutionize the payment space, unlocking the speed and transparency that end users have come to expect from their service providers. ISO 20022 messages are data-rich and provide much-needed structure to the information required to facilitate cross-border payments. The richer, more structured data elements will help reduce the number of false positives at the initiation stage of payments and expedite payment pre-validation, which in turn will help drive 100% straight-through processing rates while reducing manual interventions and cost. The road to the reimagined payments landscape has not been straightforward, however, as demonstrated by a series of changes. I'm going to make that a little bigger for you guys. Despite delays, the series of changes to global go live dates. Despite delays, the migration to ISO 20022 is for the most part now back on track, and in 2022 the Eurosystem's target to T2 and EBA clearings Euro 1, as well as SWIFT Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication and the correspondent banking space, will all migrate to the global payment standard. While there is now more clarity on the journey ahead, the path to implementing ISO 20022 is still far from easy. That is why it is crucial that banks be fully apprised of the impending developments, understand what is required of them, and have effective strategies in place. Upcoming milestones of the major market infrastructures, the Bank of England, BOE, Real-Time Gross Settlement, RTGS, scheme known as CHAPS, was set to be the first to migrate in June 2022. In January 2022, however, the BOE announced a significant change of plan. The bank had been scheduled to go live in June 2022 using a like-for-like approach, meaning that CHAPS would have used a restricted version of the ISO standard that was in line with the existing standard VENMO. The second phase of the CHAPS migration, the move to fully enhanced ISO 2022 messages, was then set to follow in February 2023. Under its revised plan, CHAPS will now migrate in April 2023. So see, guys, I told you, there's been a lot of delays going on. So even something that was supposed to be implemented this year isn't going to happen until April of 2023. Like, there's certain things. Now, the next key date will be November 2022 when SWIFT, the Eurosystem's T2 and EBA clearings 01 will each migrate to fully enhanced ISO 20022 messages. So if you're watching on my XRP Future Millionaire page, because I decided I'm sharing this with you guys, this is the value you can get of coming to my ISO headquarters page. Literally, I talk about this all the time. So when you guys ask me, how do I know all this stuff? I literally cover this on a different station. So this is what we do. And if you're not familiar with what's going on with the ISO and you keep asking about the XRP lawsuit and you keep asking about, how we're on a bull run or we're going to get on a bull run, follow this. the ISO tells you everything you need to know and more. I expect to see a surge in my ISO headquarters channel. Like I said, if you're a fan of my Swing Traders Anonymous, I'm foregoing that station. And it is a partnered station. I just got there. But I'm putting all my attention into my XRP Future Millionaire page and my ISO headquarters, because that's what I believe in, and we're getting to this part of history where I'm going to have to put a lot more time into this ISO page, and I don't have time for 3 stations. So, and the other one focused on Bitcoin and all that, I'd rather focus on the ISO if I'm not doing XRP Future Millionaire stuff. So pay attention. While plans for the migration of CHIPS Clearinghouse Interbank Payment System and the FedWire Fund Service for the U.S. dollar area has not yet been officially confirmed, they are tentatively set to migrate using a Big Bang approach in November 2023. See, guys, again, I told you, November 2023, because there's a 1-year delay from 2022. Everybody thinks it's November 2022 for the Big Bang, flip of the switch. I'm telling you, all evidence points to November 2023, and we're a year behind schedule. Everything's already being delayed. Everything. So just pay attention to what I'm saying. This will let you not have to worry about what's going on or missing the boat. I'm telling you, this is what's happening. Meaning that all the banks connected on CHIPS and FedWire will make the switch to enrich ISO-20022 messages on the same day. Following a request for a comment period that concluded at the end of December 2021, the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Fed, is now in the process of finalizing its plan for FedWire. Industry feedback so far seems supportive of Big Bang implementation and alignment of the CHIPS and FedWire timelines. Outside of the major currencies, several domestic RTGS systems have either already migrated onto ISO-20022 or are awaiting working to do so. Bangladesh, Brunei, India, Japan, Switzerland have all moved using a like-for-like approach, while China and the Philippines have transitioned to enriched ISO-20022 messages in 2022, Singapore will migrate in June, followed by Thailand in August, and Australia, Canada, New Zealand in November. So I'm giving you the framework, guys, so you can see how this is going to be a process. Look at this. Just pay attention. U.S. is one that keeps getting delayed, and I guarantee the court case is going hand in hand. So you're not getting a settlement because it does no good for the ISO. I'm telling you right now, if you're a fan of XRP, XLM, or one of the ISO coins, there is not going to be a settlement for XRP. I promise you, because they have to have a clear and decisive outcome so that the ISO can stay on plan. So follow the way it goes. XRP is going to be on trial for most of this integration. The T2 and Euro 1 migration will impact all banks, not just those in Europe. The coexistence phase, the period during which some banks will begin using ISO-20022 messages, while others will continue using legacy formats, will create significant challenges. It is likely that European banks will use the November 2022 date to move all their currencies to the new standard, not just euros. So look at, in Europe, November 2022, you might be forced to do it. But in the USA, it's 2023 November, and the USA is going to hold a great key for the big flip. During this period, payments could be originated in ISO-20022 by a fully ISO-ready bank, only to then be cleared through a market infrastructure that has not yet migrated. In this scenario, banks in jurisdictions that have not transitioned to fully enhanced messages, including banks in the United Kingdom and the United States. So there it is again, the United States. Well, not again, but I was just talking about how the United States was going to be left up a little bit behind. So let me read that again. Banks in jurisdictions that have not transitioned to fully enhanced messages, including banks in the United Kingdom and the United States, could end up receiving far more data as a result. And this data cannot be ignored. Any bank that receives an ISO-20022 message will have to think carefully about how to deal with it, as it may be needed further on in the chain. With these challenges in mind, SWIFT has reassessed the tools and strategies it can deploy to support member banks during this period. SWIFT Transactions Manager. In 2020, SWIFT announced that it would delay its migration to ISO 20022 in the correspondent banking space. So guys, again, everybody in here in my ISO headquarters knows, but in my XRP Future Millionaire channel that I'm sharing this with as bonus content, SWIFT is not going anywhere. SWIFT is going to be a big player in this, and I think a lot of people get confused or are misled because of YouTube. They think SWIFT's going away. SWIFT is going to be a huge player in this, so listen to this. moving its go-live date from November 2021 to November 2022. This was in part driven by a change in strategy, with Swift announcing that it would develop a centralized message orchestration, validation, and translation platform to support the global migration efforts. While it was once a lot of FUD and a lot of hopefulness because of people on YouTube, they said Swift was going away because they weren't going to have the HTML translation to be able to run on this new network with the ISO. They wouldn't have the validation, the translation platform. They wouldn't have the proper HTML coding. Well, that was all false. As I stated from the time I came on here, it wasn't that XRP Ripple was taking over Swift. Swift is actually doing a lot. And when you see it, that was a lot of fun to get people to buy XRP, in my opinion. Flash forward to today, and the new platform known as the Transaction Manager will enable end-to-end transaction management and play a fundamental role in facilitating interoperability for RTGS systems and correspondent banks during the ISO-20022 coexistence phase. It will help market participants that have already successfully transitioned to ISO-20022 begin paving the way for safe, instant, and frictionless cross-border payment experiences without being held back by those that have not completed their migrations. So guys, again, if you're watching somebody do technical analysis, trying to break stuff down, and they don't understand the ISO, and they're trying to sell you an ISO coin, I'm telling you, you've come to the right place if you're part of my XRP Future Millionaire Partnered page, or if you're part of the ISO headquarters. I know what I'm talking about. I'm the best in the business when it comes to the charting. Not only because I understand the charts, but because I have all the information to back up my predictions. And this goes a long way. Try to find one other person on YouTube who can dig this deep into the ISO. I do this all the time on the station, and if you're new, go back in the history. One of the key components in this regard is and what I mean is somebody who's as good on the technicals as I am. Go try to find them giving you relevant information to the ISO. I guarantee you that you found a gem here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let it pass you by. The purpose of this translation is to ensure that banks that are not yet ready to process ISO 20022 continue to receive the full data set in a format that is compatible with their back office processing. In June 2021, Swift completed a customer pilot in which banks played a number of different roles, including debtor agent, intermediary agent, and creditor agent across several different scenarios. The aim of the pilot was not only to ensure that the centralized translation component worked, but also that the interface software was able to correctly deliver the preferred translated format to the different back office systems. So almost done, guys. Embracing preparations. The industry has certainly taken a number of significant steps forward in its ISO 20022 journey over the past year. But there is still a long road ahead, and the months to come will be critical in ensuring that all participants are prepared. With this in mind, what is left to do ahead of the various ISO 20022 deadlines? First, if you do not already have one, it is critical to establish an impact and readiness checklist. This might include taking a look at your entire payments infrastructure and identifying where FINMT messages are being consumed, read or produced in any way whatsoever, both internally and externally, where vendors are involved in your payment processing flow. This will help inform what internal infrastructure changes will be needed ahead of the migration. Even if a translation-based approach is being considered, once this is in place, you should prepare a checklist to identify the internal departments, external vendors, and individuals that will need to be engaged in the project. It will also uncover how much these preparations will cost. Finally, securing buy-in from senior management to support the passage is a critical step. So this is what they have to go through, guys. I like reading these parts when they're in here. To ensure participants are prepared for the introduction of the Transaction Manager, it is mandatory for banks to upgrade their messaging interfaces such that they can support the new service. Participants should also decide on the channel and format that the Transaction Manager should use to deliver traffic to them. Finally, participants should also consider their compliance obligations and should be prepared to perform sanction screening for the complete data set, even if they only consume the MT format. With the deadline looming, now is the time to take stock of your various preparations to ensure they are robust enough to facilitate a seamless migration. And for those willing to invest the time, effort, and resources into the transition to ISO 20022, the future is particularly bright, enabling faster, more efficient, and frictionless payments globally. Hope you guys enjoyed this update. Make sure to hit that like button, turn that bell notification to all so you can hear my future updates when they first come out, and subscribe to the channel It would really benefit you. Make sure if you're part of the ISO, you follow the XRP Future Millionaire page. And if you're part of the XRP Future Millionaire page that gets this bonus content, make sure to follow the ISO headquarters page. Both links are in the video description below.